just read in the paper the other day, a major, well-known, influential, pioneer, mega church that before any of us could figure out how to pastor a large quantity of people, the forerunner, leader, filing bankruptcy. People are being shaken today. You're not so certain anymore. God sends a shaking sometimes to shake us out of our comfort zone. Because when things are too stable, we get too important. We know too much. We know exactly what to do and how to handle everything. Sometimes I think God shakes you up to make you dependent again, to make you thirsty again, to make you hungry again. Sometimes God does something for which you have no answer to make you seek him again. If you understood everything that God did, you would teach all the time. But Bishop, we wouldn't seek anymore. We would just teach everybody. But every now and then God does something that you can't teach about because you can't figure out yourself what in the world is going on. Many people are downsizing out of homes and moving back into apartments and moving back in. You say goodbye to your children and you think they're gone. And then they come back like spicy spaghetti. They come back again, and there you are in a situation because people are having to make tough choices to survive. And in the midst of that, there is a silent assassin that attacks the human spirit that says the good old days are gone. And now people are just trying to get by. They're facing age and facing stress and facing crisis and disloyalty, and the strange ambiguity of people's commitment level has dissipated to almost nothing. And now people sit back and wonder what in the world is going on. You can look at people you know, and now you know you don't know them like you thought. This is happening in Dallas. I know it didn't happen in your city, but I prayed one day. I said, Lord, I'm not so sure of the things I used to be so sure about. Now I'm not so certain anymore. And he said, I send a shaking sometime to bring you to a place that you begin to ask me, what am I doing? Because I am always up to something. The enemy has never gotten control of your life. Your life is in my hands. Your time is in my hands. Your circumstances is in my hands. And if it's shaking, it's not shaking because I can't stop it or can't fix it. Or it's not shaking because the enemy has more power than me. It's shaking because I'm accomplishing something in the earth. And I won't let you shake any more than what I need to make it shake to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish in my life. If I don't shake you, you'll become too stoic and staid. If I don't shake you, you'll become too traditional and rigid. If I don't shake you, you'll become self-righteous and judgmental. If I don't shake you, you'll become pious and look down your nose at people. If I don't shake you, you won't pray like you really need to pray. If I don't shake you, you'll walk around with your nose in the air and think you know everything. But when I shake you, it may not look like a blessing, but it's still a blessing because I love you too much to leave you stuck in a state of ignorance. I'll shake you to bring you to your knees because I'm waiting on you to seek my face. Somebody in here knows what it is to be shaken. In our text, there is a strange, paradoxical situation. Two generations coming out of 70 years of oppressive captivity, both generations extremely happy to be free, but responding to the freedom totally differently. They have been in captivity for 70 years. It was difficult to make a free man captive. If you've always been captive, it's no problem. But if you've ever been free and you find yourself captive emotionally or financially, being broke isn't bad if you never had money. I grew up thinking ketchup was spaghetti sauce. It didn't bother me at the time. But once you have experienced liberty and then go broke, it becomes a whole different set of circumstances. These men were free and then ensnared by Babylon and brought down to captivity. History says that when the Babylonians took over their empire, they raped their daughters. Now, I have 2 daughters, so if they raped their daughters, they castrated their sons. And they left Jerusalem with blood running down their legs, bleeding, and chains around their ankles. And they said, if I forget Jerusalem, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I forget Jerusalem, its beauty, let my tongue just be stuck in the top of my head. They walked away from Jerusalem pledging, I will never forget where you were in my life and what God showed me through you. And no matter where they take me, I will not lose sight of who I am. The challenge with going on in life is if you're not careful, you can lose sight of who you are and become who people think you are and lose the rich chance of being yourself. They can change our names, but we'll still know who we are. They can throw us in pits of fire 7 times hotter than it ought to be, but we will still know who we are. The Bible says that when they came to Babylon, they required of them a song for their entertainment. They said, how can we sing the Lord's song? Sing as we are in a strange land. Have you ever been in a strange place? Just a strange time in your life, strange, where you can't exactly figure out where you are. How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And for 70 years, they are in deep and robust captivity. For 70 years, they are treated like animals and locked up like dogs. For 70 years, they were denied privacy. For 70 years, they were denied the intimacy to which they were accustomed. For 70 years, they could not purchase property. For 70 years, they could not claim ownership. For 70 years, they could not choose their own wives. For 70 years, they could not offer up sacrifice to God. They said finally at the end of 70 years, when the Lord turned again our captivity, it was like a dream. Sometimes when God straightens out something that you've been dealing with a long time, you can't hardly believe it yourself when the answer comes. They said that when the Lord turned again our captivity, it was like a dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our heart filled with singing. And the heathen said, the Lord have done great things for us. And they said, the Lord have done great things for us, whereof we are glad. And then they asserted a truth that I suggest to you today. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth in weeping, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing their sheaves with them. They were out of captivity. It was over. Sometimes you need somebody to tell you it's over. It's over. When you've lived in it so long, you just have to know it's over. Some people don't know it's over. That's why they keep talking about the past, because they don't know it's over. They keep rehearsing the injury because they don't know it's over. They keep walking in unforgiveness because they don't know it's over. They have bitterness instead of peace because they don't know it's over. Their hearts are filled with rage and hostility. They don't know it's over. It took them a while to realize it was over, and they came out of Babylon shouting the victory. And when they came back to Jerusalem, they have this confusing reaction. I thought everybody would be dancing and everybody would be shouting and everybody would be rejoicing, but there was a confusing reaction because the old men, when they hobbled back down the road, they were kids when they left. 70 years had passed by. They were little children going down the road. They had lost their parents in captivity, but they were still old enough to remember what they were going back to. It's good to have something to remember about where you're going back to, what is right and what you expect. Memory can be a blessing sometime, but in the text, It is almost a curse because they are expecting Solomon's temple. Can I take my time? Solomon's temple with his porch that was 30 feet wide and 30 feet high, completely inlaid and encrusted with gold. They were looking for it. They remembered it as children. They had melted down for months gold and applied it so delicately to his porch that it was inlaid with animals impressed into the walls. It was sculptured and designed. They were looking for it and it was gone. They were looking for Solomon's Sea, the place where the priests washed, which was 45 feet in circumference and 15 feet across. And they were looking for the place where the priests would look over into Solomon's Sea and wash themselves as they came into the holies of holies, and it was gone. They were looking for the pillars to Solomon's temple, the marble encrusted, gold inlaid pillars that suggested that the son of David had built God a house, and it was gone. They were looking for the artisans and the masons' handiwork that had handcrafted stones out of the dungeons of the earth and drugged them on mules and camels with ropes up hills and placed them into order so that there would be a glory, and it was gone. They were looking for the splendor of Solomon's temple and could not find his porch, nor his vials, nor his trumpets, nor his bowls. They were all gone and dissipated. Where was Solomon's temple? You remember Solomon's temple? The Queen of Sheba, that black queen from Ethiopia, had traveled all the way up the upper coast of the eastern region of Africa, traveled with her gold and her myrrh to see Solomon's temple, and when she found it, there was no breath left inside of her. You remember how the Queen of Sheba talks about how excellent it was to be in Solomon's temple, the place that when they dedicated the building, they killed 22,000 cattle as a sacrificial offering for the opening service of Solomon's temple. 120,000 sheep were led to the altar and offered up a sacrifice for the dedicatorial service of Solomon's temple. When God looked down the windows of heaven from eternity and stepped down into time and saw 120,000 animals being offered up, lambs bang, 120,000, 20-some thousand cattle offered up, the Bible said that the fire fell from heaven and the glory filled the temple. Somebody just say glory. You cannot get God's glory without sacrifice. You cannot get God's glory through convenience. You can't get God's glory until you're willing to go out of your way and beside yourself and give something up of yourself that you might have something beyond yourself. You cannot get God's glory just because you have credentials and more degrees than a thermometer. You cannot get God's glory because you're important and people honor you. In order to get God's glory, it costs you something. You have to give up something. You have to lay down something. You have to offer up something. It costs you something. Somebody in this place is anointed, but you paid a price for the anointing that you have. Look at your neighbor and say, I paid for this. I'm paying right now. Not just with money, with tears and stress and trouble and anxiety, but I paid. And the glory of the Lord fell down so strongly that the order that the Queen of Sheba had applauded Solomon for was disrupted by the glory of God itself. The God who is the God of order disrupted the order with his own presence until the priests lay prostrate in the floor. All ceremonies were broken. All musicians collapsed over keyboards, singers laying out in the choir stand. Nobody could move because the glory of the Lord filled the temple. I want to bring your memory back so you can remember when glory comes in a place, flesh has to shut up. When glory comes in a place, pride has to come down. When glory comes in a place, it will saturate the spirit. Somebody just shout glory. Oh my God. Oh my God, the reaction of the older men is indicative of the fact that they were cursed with the memory. Because see, if you had never experienced God's glory, if you had never seen Solomon's temple, if you had never dipped in the basin, you